This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Howdy folks, Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com. And Decrypt. And iTunes and lots of places.
There you go.
Yeah. So we got a whole bunch of movies to talk about today. We're going to start with Terry Gilliam's latest movie, The Zero Theorem. I am a huge fan of Gilliam, and I like this movie. I think it would be a perfect double bill with Brazil.
Yeah.
But Brazil is better. So It was written by Pat Russian. It stars the one of my favorite actors these days, Christoph Waltz, the Austrian actor, as Cohen Leth, David Thewlis as Joby, Matt Damon as Management, Lucas Hedges as young Bob, Tilda Swinton doing another one of her bizarre and extremely ugly characters as Dr. Shrinkrom, and the very lovely Mélanie Thierry as Bainsley. So, this is one weird movie.
God, yeah.
It's set in a slightly
Brazilian.
It's slightly futuristic, or perhaps more accurately, an alternate universe. Garish, the streetscapes are just unbelievable. It's like New York's Times Squares times 50.
This movie reminded me of Brazil meets the internet.
Oh yeah,
it's with social media everywhere and tailor-made to you.
Yes, but not quite. Like when Cohen is walking down the street and this ad starts
following.
It follows him along screens as he goes along the street and up and across and down doorways and windows and stuff. And it's following him as he walks along, and it begins wrongly by calling him ma'am. And it never does get right, who it's talking to. So its facial recognition software is not working very well.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. And it's so dense with imagery. It's beautiful. Cohen is this guy who works for a company, and you get the idea that it's pretty much like one company running the world.
Yeah.
And there's one boss, and he's interchangeable in every office. He's called Management, and he's played by Matt Damon. So whether he's even human, I don't know. There's a lot of questions unanswered in this movie. But if you like Terry Gilliam and if you like Brazil, you'll love this movie, I think.
It is so odd and at times a little confusing.
It is, yeah.
They try to explain things as it goes along, and you kind of get a feel for what's going on, but you really don't to me, I never really thought I got a grasp of the whole situation.
Right.
But at the same time, a real fun ride.
Right. Well, Cohen is a misanthrope. He doesn't like people, and his mission from the start is to work at home.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to come into the office. And his boss, played by David Thewlis, has this sycophantic, hand-rubbing, it just is rather unpleasant, drooling character, sort of. You gotta. Come on! And he's always mispronounces Cohen's name, and Cohen has to correct him every single time that they talk. And David Thewlis's character Joby just either pretends he doesn't know or he's genuinely stupid.
Yeah.
But he had a job like Cohen's at one point, and it broke him.
Yeah.
He in fact, was trying to find the answer to the Zero Theorem.
And that is a theory that...
Again, it's not a theory, it's a theorem. A theorem is different from a theory. A theorem is like a mathematical proposal that makes sense on paper, but you need to prove it.
Yeah.
So it isn't like the theory of evolution or something. Yeah. But the notion that
everything is...
That 100% of everything equals nothing.
Nothing.
Equals zero.
Yeah.
And he's getting closer and closer and closer. And the closest, I believe, that anybody has come up to this point before Cohen takes it on is 78%. They've managed to prove that 78% of everything is nothing.
Yeah.
And he's getting into the 90s.
Yeah.
So he's coming very close. And of course, if he reaches the end, if he can prove that 100% of all is nothing, maybe everything will vanish.
Yeah. They don't know what'll happen.
No, they don't quite know what'll happen, but it's a goal.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's the sort of madness that people work toward. Like there was a distinct fraction of a percentage possibility that when they exploded the first atom bomb,
that the atmosphere would
catch fire.
Yeah.
Right? Or it would cause a chain reaction that would explode all the hydrogen molecules on Earth and the Earth would disintegrate.
Burn itself.
You know, it could have been, anything could have happened because we're talking about theoretical physics here.
Yeah.
But anyway, his bosses are, on the one hand, trying to keep him happy and keep him on task. And so they get this, I guess you could call her a prostitute.
Yeah.
Played by Terry.
Or a therapist.
Yeah, well, no, he has a therapist. And the therapist is a computer program.
Oh, yeah.
Played by Tilda Swinton. And she is, you know, she herself, as a computer program, has her own problems. Like, she gets into terrible loops and repetitiveness and stuff like that.
That's really funny. I think there was a scene where she's diagnosing somebody and he's asking all the right questions and everything, and then finally later on she's doing the same thing, and then the guy starts noticing that she's just keying off words that I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's artificial intelligence.
Yeah, if I say this word in any sentence, she will ask this question.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't notice that, it's like a natural conversation. Yeah. But as soon as you notice that little quirk, then you say, this is garbage.
Yeah. Well, there hasn't been a man-made artificial intelligence that can 100% pass the best test yet put forward, which is, it's not unlike the void comp test in Blade Runner, in which a non-human is asked a whole string of questions, and cross-referenced, you discover that in fact they're mimicking rather than using imagination and originality.
Right.
Because a computer can never be original. Not so far. There simply aren't enough connections in its electronic brain. There simply isn't that leap of imagination that human beings have that machines don't. But it's a fascinating world that he's living in, and it is much more like our world than Brazil was, because, as you say, now we're surrounded.
And I think
with
the reason
disembodied voices and
the reason why computers can't do that is that they see everything in ones and zeros.
Yeah, black and white.
They don't have visual cues. Like I'm looking at it as maybe a snow globe or something like that, and that means nothing to a computer.
No, it can see the parts.
It can see it, and it could probably recognize it as a item to be bought or something like that.
No, it could recognize it as a snow globe if you told it what a snow globe was.
Yeah.
But it can't put two and two together.
It can't give it a memory of something that you've seen.
Even the talking apes absolutely staggered everybody, and the gray parrot that has the greatest vocabulary. They can do things like they know the words for yellow and the words for apple. But if they don't have a word for orange, I think this was Coco, so they give Coco an orange, and when she wanted one next, she would say, "May I have a yellow apple?" And that made them puzzle for a bit, but they realized she meant an orange. So she made up her own word for orange because they hadn't given her one.
Right.
And, now that's showing imagination, and that's something a computer doesn't seem to be able to do.
Mm.
It isn't just that they're not as smart as people. They're not as smart as apes or parrots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the living brain is more complicated.
Like you said, they can mimic it, but they can't be it.
Yeah, no, they can only mimic what they've already heard or been told.
Yeah. How to associate.
So my gosh, it's one of the most beautiful movies Gilliam has made.
Oh yeah, it's very colorful.
Gorgeous, colorful. It begins with a really lovely scene of Cohen floating with a black hole sucking everything into it, and he's just sort of drifting in this starscape with everything being sucked into this black hole, and it's very, very peaceful. And then you realize that the camera sort of pulls back, and there's like the window frame, and he's in his apartment, and he's just sort of daydreaming. This is what he dreams of,
That's the Zero Theorem.
Well, it's certainly.
It sure looks like it.
It is the end of everything. Yeah. I don't know that it's the zero. Perhaps it's a representation of that. In any case, that's what he wants to do. He wants to get away from everybody.
But through the movie, he does grow as a person.
Does he? Because look at what he chooses at the end. His end result, he gets what he wanted, but that's what he wanted at the beginning. I think he becomes more desperate as he goes along. Like the character changes only in that he's becoming more and more frantic to get his goal. But his goal is to blow all of us off.
Yes, but at the same time, he is learning certain skill sets that he didn't have before. That he needed.
To be nobody.
Yeah. It's a weird thing.
It is. It's beautifully done. All right, so from the sublime to the ridiculous, although Zero Theorem is pretty ridiculous too. Transformers, Age of Extinction, another movie from 2014. Directed by Michael Bay, written by Aaron Kruger. It stars, oh God help him, Mark Wahlberg as Cade Yeager, Nicola Peltz as his daughter Tessa, Jack Raynor is her boyfriend Shane Dyson. Funny because I have a friend named Shane Dyson. Same spelling and everything. The often terrific Stanley Tucci plays Joshua Joyce, starts off as a villain and becomes a good guy partway through, which is weird. Kelsey Grammer plays Harold Attinger. He is the villain of the piece. Bing Bing Lee plays Sue Yu Ming, who is Stanley Tucci's right-hand gal. The comedian, and I believe Canadian, T.J. Miller plays Lucas Flannery, who is Mark Wahlberg's sidekick. Peter Cullen does the voice of Optimus Prime, and John Goodman does the voice of the country robot, Hound. I don't know if he's an inbred hillbilly robot, but that's the way he sounds. And of all people, Ken Watanabe playing Drift, the Japanese Transformer. And the name Drift, is that Tokyo Drift? Is that a reference to Tokyo Drift?
I don't know.
It just seems racist to me that one of the robots would have a Japanese accent. Why? Does it come from the Japanese part of the Transformer world?
Well, so especially silly. If they're all aliens, why would they have different accents?
And how come Bumblebee is incapable of talking and can only quote from pop culture?
Yeah, well, it's because he uses the radio for
but voice. Why can't he talk?
I don't know.
I know, because it's a children's toy, and they're still forcing grown people to make these movies. This is an awful movie. This movie just made me angry from start to finish.
I didn't feel I read all the negative criticisms of it. And again, when something is so panned, you have a tendency to expect the worst. And then when you watch it, it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be.
It was worse than I thought it was going to be.
Not me. I just thought it was a typical Transformer movie.
No, see, I quite like the first one. They've been going down and down and down since the first one. This one begins, the story picks up after the last one in which Chicago was leveled.
Yeah.
So now Kelsey Grammer's character is made villains of all the Transformers, and that's what he wants to do.
He wants to get rid of them all.
They are all enemies. That's his public statement. In fact, what they're doing is they're gathering all the Transformers and melting them down, using the metal to make new Transformers that they think they'll be able to control. That's what Stanley Tucci's big, giant Apple-like company is doing. He's sort of a combination of Microsoft and Apple with a lot of manufacturing in the basement. And And he starts off, would the richest man on earth doing the most cutting edge technological work on earth, would he really be such a stupid dupe as to just, do what the evil guy in the government wants him to do? Well, he is.
Yeah,
and it isn't really a satisfying switch when he becomes a good guy, because he's an evil SOB at the beginning of the movie, and they just switch him. They just say, okay, now Stanley's on the right side.
Well, no, because Stanley thought he was doing one thing and the government was doing another thing, and when he discovered he didn't agree with the government,
right.
Now he switched side because he doesn't agree with what the government was doing with his technology, because he wasn't expecting that. I mean, it's not a great movie.
It is so
and it's
far from being not a great movie.
And it's way too long.
Oh, God, yeah. All the Transformer movies have been too long.
But at the same time, I just was entertained in a mindless stupor just watching it because I enjoy that.
Were you drinking?
No.
Because that might have helped. Might have helped me.
No, to me, I mean, it was just the same old I've seen in the last 3 movies.
Oh, I just think they're getting worse and worse. They just seem to sneer at their audience. Mark Wahlberg, you have to admit, of all the actors in all these Transformer movies, Mark Wahlberg is so awful. No, come on. You give me that. Give me that. Mark Wahlberg is so over the top. He steals the whole Bruce Willis outraged dad thing from Armageddon.
Yeah.
He steals that whole thing, and it never really works because to me, it was creepy. He comes across as like he wants to keep his daughter for himself. It was ugly and weird. And here's TJ. Oh, come on, you got to let her go at some point. And she's 18 or something like that. She is still just a kid, but it was creepy. Mark Wahlberg, I can take or leave him if he's got a good script and if they hold him down.
Yeah.
Like Scorsese held him down in The Departed. He's wonderful in that as Martin Sheen's right-hand man, the guy who is the only one who winds up knowing the secret of Leonardo DiCaprio's undercover agent. He's wonderful in that because just like Scorsese was able to hold Jerry Lewis down and get a good performance out of him.
Yeah.
But Michael Bay, he's not that good a director, and I think he just says, whatever you want to do, Mark.
Yeah.
You're the star. So he's over the top. The emotions are just 100%. No matter what he's doing, he's 100% angry, 100% sad, 100% happy.
But that's the way they all act in these stupid movies.
But I didn't think so. I thought Stanley Tucci was all right, except they don't have his character acting logically. The switch was too abrupt. It was too sudden, I thought.
For this long of a movie?
Oh, it's long. Yeah, you're right. He should have died of old age, as I felt like I was.
What is amazing is the special effects.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Well, watching it on video, it's that just doesn't enter into it. If I saw it on the big screen,
I saw it in 3D.
Yeah, I might have been more impressed.
So. Yeah, I'm always amazed what they can do with special effects these days, but just because you can do it doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie.
It doesn't mean you should do
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think less is more now when it comes to special effects movies. You don't really need to fill the screen with special effects every second of the movie. And that's what I felt about the last 3 Transformer movies. But at the same time, I watch them and I enjoy them. They're no Lord of the Rings or anything like that. But at the same time, I mean, I go to those...
the Lord of the Rings movies are full of special effects.
Yes.
So is Zero Theorem. But they've got good scripts. They've got good acting.
Well, Zero Theorem, to me, was confusing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I found it very confusing, but at the same time, I love the visual aspect of it.
Right.
And that it's kooky. It's supposed to be.
Right.
It's supposed to be kooky.
Oh, well, see, I just thought it was so similar to Brazil in its style and tone.
Yes, it's that old technology mixed with new technology kind of thing happening again.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, much more colorful than Brazil. Brazil was grays and darkness.
It's Orwellian. Yes, it's a colorless, drab world.
This is like every color in the universe.
Yeah, there's computer screens everywhere.
Yeah.
Sides of as I say, it's like Tokyo or New York.
Yeah.
It's Times Square times 50. It's whole buildings covered in television sets.
Yeah. They don't paint them anymore. They just put these screens on them.
Put up a new video screen.
And they can color their building whatever they want per day.
Yeah, but it's all advertising and it's all aimed at you.
Yeah.
Lady.
Well, that's where they're going to. With the smartphones, they won't have to do facial recognition. They'll just know who you are by the phone that you're carrying.
God help
and then
us.
Automatically your type of advertisements will show up.
Yesterday, what did I get? It was pushed at me.
Oh, God.
It was on YouTube. I was checking something on YouTube. Well, I just wanted to listen to some music. I was just listening to some videos while I was working. Little notice among the advertisements on the side. YouTube thought you would be interested in this, and it was a 1989 documentary, The Life of Python, which I'd never seen before.
Oh.
And so, for once they were right.
Scared the hell out of you. Oh, no, they know me too well.
Yeah. No, I have searched for Python. I've searched for Tom Waits. I've searched for, 100 different interests, ongoing interests. Sure enough.
I got something, a text the other day. Company saying, do you want to work from home?
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, the last person I'd want to work for is a stupid company that's spamming my text.
Right.
And they want me to work for them?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Doesn't sound very good. Okay, let's get on to our next movie. This is a little American movie, although it's based on a true story that happened in England.
I thought it happened to you.
It happened in Liverpool. It's called Little Monsters, also known as Two Little Monsters, written and directed by David Schmoller. It stars Charles Cantrell as Carl Withers and Ryan LaBeouf as James Landers. And the idea is that these two boys, they're young men now, they both about the same time being released from juvenile, essentially prison, because when they were 10 years old, they stole a little boy from his mother in the mall, the food court. They took him outside and they humiliated him, and then they wound up killing him. And they are both absolutely complicit. Now, what's interesting is that they have both been released because they were children when it happened, so, there's
when
no
they turned
hold on
18.
them. Yeah, out they go. And one is extremely remorseful, and one is a psychopath.
Yeah.
And the psychopath wants to get back with his buddy because they share a common history, and he'd like to do it again. And so it's very much black and white, very much good versus evil.
Although there's a twist terrifying at the end.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought it was good. It's a super low-budget movie, very little movie, and I'm surprised. And in fact, when I saw it and wanted to see it, I didn't notice that it was American-made, because it is very much based on the true story that happened in England, in Liverpool, a few years ago, in which these two young boys took a toddler, 3-4-year-old maybe he was 5, from a mall, and they took him away, and I think it was down at the railroad tracks, and they smashed his head in with a brick. And it headlines around the world, children killing children in this hideous, psychotic way. And so this is what's his name, David Schmoller's take on it, and I thought he did a good job. It's a very thoughtful little movie, but very unsettling.
Yes, really good dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Well written.
And the story unfolds quite nicely. It starts off with them being released from prison, and then all the news people hounding them, trying to figure out who they are and where they are, because they've placed them...
changed their names.
They've changed their identities and placed them in two different parts of the country, and trying to get them back on track with continuing their lives.
Yeah.
And... Of course, they meet people and confide in people, and other people are guessing who they are. Well,
there's an investigative journalist who is hunting them.
So it's all these different facets to it. How the media is trying to portray them, what they're feeling internally, both of them. And this journey of one guy trying to find the other guy. And what happens when they do meet him. So, very fascinating, very fascinating.
Yeah.
And it talks about all different aspects, the law and how the law allowed this to happen, or what the liberal point of view and the conservative point of view talking about each. And it portrays it all quite evenly. There's no bias, I don't think, in the storytelling. And it just puts it out there for you to see it all.
It's fascinating.
It's very fascinating.
Very well done. Yeah. Well, I don't want to give anything away, so I don't want to talk about it anymore. No more.
The only thing is that, like you said, it's a very low budget film.
Yeah.
And they did it very well.
They did. It could all gives me a feeling like it could be a play. It could be a really interesting play because it is such an interplay mostly between these two, the good kid getting phone calls from the bad kid.
Yeah.
So if the bad kid has been able to find out where he is, how long will it take anybody else to find them?
Yeah.
So next movie is another small movie, an independent movie, written and directed by Jack Thomas Smith from 2013, called Infliction. Now this also focuses on two youngish men. Stars Jason Mack as John Stiles, Elliot Armstrong as his brother Kenny. Let's see, Catherine Trail is Patty Stiles. I'm not sure whether that's their mother. I think that's their mother. Don Henderson Baker plays their father Joe Stiles, and Anna Shaw plays their sister Andrea. Also in the movie, Mari Shelton as Linda Hallett and Kimball Ioannis as Judge Stevens. This movie is really intense, even more intense than Little Monsters. It's about two brothers who decide to go on a killing rampage. It's a revenge-fueled rampage, and they're going to videotape everything. They want the world to understand their crimes.
Yeah. They were two abused children that were put in the system, and all the things that were done wrong to them, and they wanted to get retribution on all the people involved. And this includes judges,
family, big sister,
siblings, parents, social workers.
The parents are such monsters.
Yeah.
They are terrifying. The father is terrifying, but the mother is an even bigger monster because she knew and she went along. It's horrible. So there was sexual abuse and other physical abuse, and the nightmare world for these two young boys.
Now, the movie starts off quite confusing because you don't know what's happening.
No.
As it unfolds, you get to know more and more what's going on. By the end, you know the whole story, and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the very beginning, it's very confusing to find out why they're doing this and who these people are that they are killing.
Right. Because they seem to they have it's like they have a list, but you don't know why they're breaking into certain houses and tying up a couple and killing them
in different ways.
And a young woman at one point is killed, and then they go after this judge, and by the time they hunt down and torture and kill this judge, you start to think, okay, something in the legal system here, something bad happened.
Yeah.
And then they meet up with find their sister, who's really not happy to see her little brothers. And then with the sister, who has her own axe to grind, they grab her and they go off to find Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Mom and Dad. just a terrifying movie. It's one of the scariest movies based like that isn't fantastic. The only monsters are human.
Yeah. That's what it is. This is the horror of real life.
It feels like it's a true story, and claiming, of course, as these so often do, it's claiming to be the actual footage and blah blah blah.
The movie is kind of slow paced.
Yeah.
It's not a fast movie.
It picks up. And the last half is definitely quicker than the first half. The first half is very much a long setup.
Yeah.
With flashes of intense violence in it. And the younger brother, Kenny, is definitely on the fence. He even walks away at one point, and his brother says, I don't want to do this alone. I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for both of us. Don't put this all on me. So their feelings are very complicated, and the only loyalty they have is to each other, because they were the only ones they had to cling to when they were little victims. Yeah,
it seemed like everybody who was in touch with their lives thought they were doing the right thing, but they weren't.
No, the system.
Because the parents were so horrible that I guess no one could believe that they could be that bad.
They the sad thing is that at one point they were put back in the care of their parents.
Yeah.
So, oops.
Yeah.
That made me think, I'm sure it happens tragically often, but it made me think of Dahmer and one of his victims who got away, and he's running naked or nearly naked down the street, and the police grab him, and this kid, he was from Thailand or something, and he didn't speak very good English, and the police said, where are you coming from? And he gave them Dahmer's address. They take him back to Dahmer's apartment door and say, do you know this kid? And Dahmer convinced the cops that they were lovers. They'd had a tiff. He'd run away. And they put the kid back in with Dahmer, who killed him that night. The cops thought they were being nice liberal helpers of a lover's quarrel. And I guess the kid just couldn't get it across that in fact Dahmer was a maniac with heads in his fridge. And the horrible thing is that screw up could so easily have been avoided if the cops had just done some checking. Yeah. Because Dahmer had been in trouble before.
Yeah.
But Dahmer got away with it for such a long time because there were a lot of screw ups. There were a lot of clues that were ignored by the authorities. And you get the idea in this story, too. The kids were in the hands of the people who were supposed to help them, and they never get helped.
Yeah.
So that's Infliction. It's a powerful, powerful movie.
And well worth seeing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good movie. Now, I saw a movie recently that Mark has already talked about on this show, Godzilla. Directed by Gareth Edwards, written by Max Borenstein. This is, of course, the 2014 one we're talking about. Stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Ford Brody. What a bland loaf of white bread he is. Ken Watanabe plays Dr. Serizawa. Elizabeth Olsen plays Ford's wife, Elle Brody. Juliette Binoche plays his mum, who dies early on. Bryan Cranston plays his dad, who hangs on a little bit longer. And David Strathairn, the occasionally great David Strathairn, plays Admiral Stenz. Now, at the time, I remember you saying that it just basically, why did they bother?
Yeah.
I'd have to agree. It felt like an anti-climax from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And the pair of monsters, the boyfriend and girlfriend monsters, are just so silly.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And they're tracking, like the two monsters are, now it's so confusing. They're after the nuclear fuel.
Yeah.
And Godzilla is a force of nature who is awakened only so that he can put the balance back, which means destroy these two monsters. And so the humans recognize Godzilla as on their side.
Yeah.
So as the cities are being, and it's several cities are being demolished.
Yes.
Good old Godzilla. Thank goodness he's on our side.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, things could have gotten terrible. And, you know, like the Superman movies, like just about any big movies, the Transformer movies, cities getting destroyed, buildings being torn to pieces. There's never any comment about the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people buried under rubble.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that makes 9/11 look like small change.
Yes.
You know, and okay, well, you know, thank God for Godzilla. But what a silly movie.
Yes, wasn't it?
Why, Bryan Cranston coming off like this high point in any actor's career.
Yeah.
He was Walter White.
Yeah.
Walter White has entered the vocabulary as an entity, and he chooses this. Well, all it can be for is that, you know, that $10 million or whatever he got paid.
I don't know what they got paid him, but he was only in there for like 1/4 of the movie.
Yeah, like the first half hour. Here's another movie that goes on way too long.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2 hours.
I mean, the whole thing is that one of the bugs, and I call them bugs because they look like bugs, destroys a nuclear plant in Japan.
Right.
And for 10 years or 20 years, I don't know how long
right.
that Cranston's been trying to prove something. You know, it wasn't just an earthquake.
Yeah.
And they've kept this thing in a larval state for that long.
Yeah.
And it just so happens when Brian's visiting, it hatches. And decides to go on a trek across the ocean.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm going, geez, who wrote this?
So bad. I can tell you who wrote it. Max Borenstein. Blame Max.
But who the heck wanted to produce something like this? The storyline just sucked. It wasn't really about Godzilla.
No.
Godzilla just happened to be, I don't know, along for the ride.
He's the means to destroy these creatures, and that's all he is.
For a well over 2 hours movie, I think Godzilla was only in it for about maybe 10 minutes.
I know. It's mostly a hell of a lot of jibber jabber between military types. In the first half hour, as you say, it's a lot of jibber jabber with Bryan Cranston's character trying to convince everybody that he's not a lunatic.
Yeah.
You know, and the stupid thing is that. Why would he be the only one who understands this? Why would he be the only one who could interpret the data from a well-documented attack or accident in Japan? Why is nobody else really head up about giant monsters? Well, of course there is. He finds out that, yes, he has been right, and they've been keeping it secret because they have had this giant egg in Japan. But, oh my goodness, what a silly movie. Yeah. Okay, on to another one, because we did talk about that before. We got a movie written and directed by a guy who was, back in the 80s, one of my very favorite comedians, Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, yeah.
And he started directing movies. He was acting in them and directing them. He starred in a very funny movie about a talking racehorse. I don't remember what it was, but it was funny. Anyway, he was such a wild-haired lunatic stand-up comedian who was always like gnashing his teeth together and talking about crazy crap. He said, I went into the 7-Eleven the other day and they had a closed-circuit camera. I did my act. They'll call the cops on you for doing your act. So he made a movie last year called Willow Creek. Stars Alexi Gilmore as Kelly, Bryce Johnson as Jim, Bucky Sinister as the angry man at Road. Willow Creek, it's about this young couple. The dude is a monster hunter, and he wants to basically take his girlfriend on a trip, and she finally, as like a present to him, agrees, and they go off in search of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
They go to the...
This is a found footage kind of movie.
It is, very much, found footage movie. But it's a well-done found footage movie, so don't let that put you off, because there are some good ones out there.
Yeah.
But they go to the place where the original Patterson film was, the one where you see the female Sasquatch supposedly turn and look at the camera and then
walk off,
wandering off. Yeah. So if she's if she's able to turn around and look at the camera, and they're so shy, these creatures, that people rarely see them, why would she look at the camera and essentially, wave and smile and then wander off? Don't you think she'd like sprint?
Bolt?
Yeah, bolt. That's a good word. Yeah. So anyway, they go back to this area, and of course, as everyone knows, there's nothing more bloodthirsty than the Sasquatch. I don't get that. Sasquatches are so reclusive that nobody sees them because, well, first, they don't exist.
Yeah.
And second, they're very shy. They don't go around killing people apart.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't.
I as a fan of Sasquatches, I really take exception to this. I think there should be a Sasquatch anti-defamation league.
Well, this story is sort of like a documentary as well as found footage.
Yeah, they interview a few folks.
They go up to the spot where they spotted the Sasquatch, and they're interviewing a bunch of people at the restaurant, at the local gas station. It's a little Blair Witch Project at this point. And I was worried that Bobcat wasn't going to be original, but he manages to find enough twists and turns that it was worth seeing. Yeah. But to me, I mean, you had your classic rednecks, know. Yep. You don't belong here. But it's taking place in like California, isn't it, or Oregon or something? Oregon at least, or Northern California. I think the Pattison movie took place in California. Anyway, and they've got these southern rednecks. Yeah. I don't know where it's like, where the heck did these come? Now, the thing is, we moved to California. We don't like outsiders. Yeah. And the thing that bothered me about that whole scene about that very put-offish kind of guy, the fact is that he didn't have to be put offish. No. He could have just said, look there's some sort of animal in there that is causing havoc. Yeah. Please stay away from this area. Yeah. No, instead it's, don't talk to them, just yell at them and say, get out of here! And threaten. Yeah. Threaten all the time, which of course, here's a curious guy on a mission with a camera. Yeah. And by saying, don't you dare come in here. Well, that's a red flag. Well, there's another path over there that goes around him. Yeah. It's just that was silly, but I still enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the scenes in the tent. I thought that was good fun. That was and better fun than the Blair Witch Project, where there's a lot of quivering and noses dripping and stuff like that. Yeah, but it was just him and his girlfriend. Yeah. In the tent, listening to what was happening outside of the tent. Yeah. And of course, at some point, it gets their flashlight or whatever it is goes out, and they're just it's just complete darkness, and you're listening with them. Yeah, it's like you're in the tent there with them. And that's right. Well, she says, turn the light out. He's got the camera light on. Turn the light out. You'll attract them. So he turns the light out, and then you can hear a Bigfoot outside the tent. Well, we don't know what it is. No. And it's like a lot of yelling in the. I mean, they must have had fun with this when they were filming it, because there are just people out there yelling. Yeah, it's like good fun. And snaps and crackles and just them sitting there listening. Yeah, I was shaking and listening. Yeah, and that's towards the very end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's at that point I'm going, geez, I've seen this before. There's nothing new here. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't feel it. It felt like a starting off what was an interesting documentary, going into the Blair Witch project at the end. Right. And it's like, Oh, well, I definitely got was hoping for a better payoff. Oh, okay. Well, it worked for me. What last movie to talk about, folks? We're really playing catch up here. We haven't recorded shows in a while, so we've still got lots of movies to go through. But one more today, folks. We're going to be talking about an English movie, The Cottage, 2008 movie written and directed by Paul Andrew Williams. It stars from The League of Gentlemen, the wonderful TV series, not the bad movie, Reece Shearsmith, he plays Peter. Andy Serkis plays David, who is Peter's brother. Jennifer Ellison plays Tracy. She is one big stacked blonde. Stephen O'Donnell plays Andrew. Doug Bradley plays the villager with the dog.
I thought this was a hoot.
It was.
This is one funny little movie.
It did not go where I thought it was going to go.
No.
It starts off as a kidnapping.
Well, yes, that's right. That's right. They've kidnapped poor Jennifer Ellison's character Tracy.
Yeah.
And her father is a mob boss.
Yes.
And they have a buddy, and that is Andrew, Stephen O'Donnell, who's an idiot, but he's the son of the mob boss.
Yeah.
So the idiot son has helped these two lunatics, well, they're just idiots, kidnap his sister.
Yeah.
And the three of them are going to split, £100,000 or whatever the ransom is.
Yeah.
And, of course, the first thing that they do is, because Reese Shearsmith is not at all a criminal type, he's an accountant or something, and it's his brother Andy who needs the money. Well, they both need the money.
Yeah.
The straight brother, Shearsmith, wants to buy the house, get rid of their mum or something like that. And Andy Serkis needs money because he is a criminal type and he needs to buy off some bad guys. And Stephen O'Donnell just wants some money.
It's just terrible the way that they're so amateurish.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the very first thing is that the non-criminal brother calls Andy Serkis by his name.
Yeah.
It's like,
in front of the girl.
In front of the girl, yeah.
Yeah. So right away, and she is such a bitch.
Oh, she's horrible.
Oh, and she's kicking them and nutting them and hurting them every chance she gets.
She's not so hard on Andy Serkis's character, but Reese Shearsmith is such a little namby-pamby that she just lays into him. First thing she does is break his nose.
Yeah.
Puts her head in and just cracks him across the face and breaks his nose. And then didn't she break his finger at one point? And she's just running roughshod over this poor guy.
And she gets away. Right? She ends up getting away.
She runs away, but she doesn't get very far.
She goes to the neighbors.
Yeah.
And that's when the movie starts getting interesting.
And it's half over. It's half over. And the neighbors, it turns out, are like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
One guy. Yeah.
A lunatic farmer.
Yeah. And I like the way that when they go looking for her, they end up in the town.
Yeah.
And they walk into that pub or whatever it was, and everyone just stops and looks at them.
Right.
And there's this real awkwardness happening. Yeah. And right away, you know that something's wrong with this little town.
Yeah.
That they are scared to go outside at night.
Yeah.
And they don't know why.
It reminded me of American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
It's the same thing,
Yeah. It's like there's something that they're not telling them. And then they're saying go back to your house and stay there till morning. Yeah. Do not go wandering around. And and they end up at the neighbor's place too. And that's when this movie gets really interesting. Yeah. And I don't want to talk about what happens at the neighbor place, but it's hilarious and terrifying.
It is,
and it's reason this is a horror movie.
Really hard on poor Reese and Andy. Andy Serkis, of course, if you don't recognize the name, he played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies. He's like the number one
and King Kong
character actor in the world when you don't even see him.
Yeah.
He puts on that green suit with the ping pong balls on him, and he's acted. Yes,
motion capture.
He was
actor.
The giant ape in Peter Jackson's King Kong. He's Gollum. He's playing. I think
another ape in the Planet of the Apes series.
That's right. That's right. He was Caesar.
He's Caesar.
Yeah. He was Caesar in the one with James Franco. Is he Caesar in the latest one too?
Yeah.
He is. Okay, because I haven't seen the newest one.
And he's co-directing the Hobbit movies.
Is he?
Yeah. He's second director.
Oh, second unit director.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's where everybody gets their start.
Yeah.
Often gets their start. Okay. Yeah. So The Cottage, horror comedy.
Yeah. Except for
although the second half is heavy on the horror.
Yeah. And it's
but you have to have seen the brothers in action to appreciate the way they act when real horror is visited on them, because they have their little paltry scheme to blackmail the
mob boss
and,
who shows up,
and that all seems very small potatoes compared to what the farmer does. Oh, it's a funny movie. Okay, let's quickly go through what we saw. Zero Theorem, I think we both loved it.
Yes.
Okay, Transformers, Age of Extinction. Mark thought it was a good popcorn movie. I thought it was painful.
There you go.
There you go. Little Monsters, very small, no budget movie, but a good script, and the actors managed to keep it together and do a decent job.
It's a disturbing movie
Yeah.
with that real life horror.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
But well done.
Yeah. Infliction, another found footage movie, but well done.
I thought the payoff was predictable.
Was weak, yeah. Too bad. I liked it more than Mark did. Godzilla, well, we talked about that before, and even though I'd only seen the first 45 minutes of it.
I've seen it 3 times so far.
Why?
Well, the first time in the theaters, second time I was reviewing it for the show, the third time I saw it in 3D at home.
Why?
I don't know. I just wanted to see if I would change my mind.
Oh, you didn't, though.
I'm appreciating the effects more, but the storyline still sucks.
No, it's terrible. Willow Creek, I liked it again more than Mark did. I thought Bobcat did a good job on a found footage movie, but Mark thought that one was also predictable. Yeah. And the Cottage, I think we both really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Right.
It's not what you would think would happen.
No.
Entertaining, because these guys are all good actors.
Absolutely. I love Reese Shearsmith. And if you guys have not gone out of your way to catch the League of Gentlemen, the original TV series, see them. They're fantastic. Okay, well, that's it. We'll be back next week with some more new movies. We're gonna do a show soon on
screeners,
independent movies. Yeah, movies that we've been asked to watch, and we'll do that soon. I don't know if we'll do that next, but we'll